The arrival of the grand chamber of the Dominion Council gleamed with the light of 1,000 stars. High above the marble floors, holographic displays showed the vastness of their empire. 300 systems, 2,000 inhabited worlds, 73 different species, all bowing to the wisdom and power of the Dominion. For 8,000 years, they had ruled without challenge. For 8,000 years, no one had dared to question their authority. Chancellor Vraxis stood at the center of the chamber, his crystalline form reflecting the starlight in patterns of blue and violet. Around him, the 12 council members sat in their elevated thrones, each representing a different founding species of the Dominion. They were the most powerful beings in the known galaxy, and they knew it. Their decisions shaped civilizations. Their words moved fleets. Their approval meant prosperity, and their disapproval meant extinction. Today's session had been routine. Approvals for mining operations in the Outer Rim. Trade disputes between member worlds. The usual business of running an empire so vast that most species could not even comprehend its size. Vraxis was preparing to close the session when the Alert Keeper, a 6-armed being named Tholis, suddenly stood from his station. His gesture was unusual. In 3 centuries of service, Tholis had never interrupted a council session. "Chancellor, we have detected an unauthorized vessel entering Dominion space," Tholis announced, his voice carrying a note of concern that made several council members lean forward in their seats. Vraxis turned slowly, his movements creating small musical sounds as his crystalline body shifted. "Unauthorized? What species would be foolish enough to enter our territory without permission?" Tholis manipulated the controls at his station, and a holographic image appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a ship, but unlike any vessel in the Dominion's vast database. It was small, perhaps only 200 meters in length. Its design was strange, with smooth curves interrupted by angular sections. No visible weapons. No energy shields that their sensors could detect. It looked almost fragile compared to the massive warships that protected Dominion space. "We do not recognize the design, Chancellor," Tholis continued. "The vessel appeared at the edge of Sector 7 without using any known form of faster-than-light travel. Our sensors detected no wormhole, no quantum tunnel, no dimensional shift. It simply appeared." Counselor Drenna, a being whose species had mastered technology 10,000 years ago, made a dismissive gesture with her tentacles. "A malfunction in our sensors, clearly. Nothing simply appears in space. Send a standard warning and have a patrol ship escort them out of our territory." Vraxis nodded in agreement. "Agreed. This is probably some primitive species that stumbled into our space by accident." Tholis broadcast the standard first contact protocol. "Inform them they have entered Dominion space and must submit to inspection or leave immediately." The message was sent across all known communication frequencies. It was translated into 800 languages, using every form of electromagnetic and quantum signal the Dominion had encountered in 8 millennia of expansion. The message was clear and simple. Submit or leave. Those were the only options anyone ever got when encountering the Dominion. Minutes passed. The council members began discussing other matters, barely paying attention to the small ship on the display. Then Tholis spoke again, and this time his voice carried something that sounded almost like confusion. "Chancellor, we have received a response." And Vraxis asked, expecting to hear that the unknown ship was turning around or requesting permission to dock for inspection. "They say no." The chamber fell silent. No one said no to the Dominion. No one had said no in 8,000 years. Counselor Drenna's tentacles curled in agitation. "What do you mean, no?" Clarify their response. Tholis touched his controls, and a voice filled the chamber. It was strange, with odd tones and rhythms, but the translation was clear. "This is the human vessel Wanderer. We have received your message. We decline both options. We are not leaving, and we are not submitting to inspection. We are here to talk, and we will wait until you are ready to listen. Wanderer out. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Counselor Brecton, a massive being whose species had been warriors before joining the Dominion, began to laugh. It was a deep, rumbling sound that echoed through the chamber. Humans? I have never heard of them. How amusing. They think they can refuse the Dominion. Fraxis felt irritation rising within him. This was an insult. A tiny ship from an unknown species was treating the Dominion as if they were equals. Tholis, scan their vessel. Find out what weapons they have. If they refuse to leave, we will remove them by force. The scanning began immediately. The Dominion had the most advanced sensors in the galaxy, capable of detecting even the smallest energy signature. They could see through walls, analyze chemical compositions from light years away, and detect weapon systems long before they could be used. But as the scan results came in, Tholis's confusion grew visible. His 6 arms moved across his controls in increasingly frantic patterns. Chancellor, the scans are showing something impossible, Tholis said quietly. What is impossible? Fraxis demanded. The ship has no weapons, no shields, no armor beyond basic hull plating. But there is something else. The energy readings inside the vessel do not match any known power source. And there is only one life form aboard. One single being is piloting that ship alone. Counselor Drenna made a sound of disbelief. One being? That is absurd. Even our smallest patrol ships require a crew of 12. How can one being operate a vessel capable of entering Dominion space? Brecton stopped laughing. Perhaps they are more advanced than they appear. Send 3 patrol ships. Have them disable the human vessel and bring it in for inspection. If they resist, destroy them. We have wasted enough time on this nonsense. The order was given. 3 Dominion patrol ships, each one carrying enough firepower to level the city, moved toward the small human vessel. Their commanders were confident. This would take minutes, perhaps seconds. The human would surrender or die. Those were the only possible outcomes. The patrol ships approached from 3 different angles, surrounding the human vessel completely. The lead commander broadcast a final warning. Human vessel, you are surrounded. Power down your systems and prepare for boarding. This is your last chance. The response came quickly, and the voice sounded almost sad. We tried to warn you. We really did. This did not have to happen. Then everything changed. The human ship moved. Not forward or backward, but sideways. Instantly, without acceleration. Without any visible means of propulsion. One moment it was surrounded by 3 patrol ships. The next moment it was 5,000 kilometers away, and the 3 patrol ships were gone. Not destroyed, not disabled, simply gone. Vanished from space as completely as if they had never existed. The Grand Chamber erupted in chaos. Council members were shouting. Tholis was frantically checking his sensors. Fraxis stood frozen, his crystalline form flickering with colors that betrayed his shock. Where are the patrol ships? He demanded. Where did they go? Tholis worked his controls with all 6 arms moving simultaneously. I do not know, Chancellor. They just disappeared. No explosion. No energy signature. They are simply not there anymore. And the human ship moved without any detectable energy expenditure. It violated at least 7 known laws of physics. Another message came from the human vessel. The voice was calm, patient, and still carried that note of sadness. We did not destroy your ships. We moved them. They are now safely in orbit around your homeworld, completely intact. Your crews are unharmed. We can move anything, anywhere, at any time. We can see everything in your empire simultaneously. We can be in a million places at once if we choose. But we do not want conflict. We came here to talk. Will you listen now? Asterisk Vraxis stared at the holographic image of the small, seemingly harmless human ship. In 8,000 years, the Dominion had never encountered anything they could not understand or defeat. They had faced species with powerful weapons, advanced shields, and cunning tactics. But they had never faced something like this. Something that could move their ships across light years in an instant. Something that broke the fundamental rules of reality itself. For the first time in 8 millennia, the Dominion Council did not know what to do. And in that moment of uncertainty, the galaxy changed forever. Asterisk. The awakening the Grand Chamber remained in chaos for nearly an hour. Council members argued with each other in a dozen different languages. Tholis confirmed that the 3 patrol ships had indeed appeared in orbit around the Dominion homeworld, exactly as the human had said. The crews were confused but completely unharmed. Their ships showed no damage, no signs of stress from whatever had moved them across 300 light-years in an instant. It was as if they had simply been lifted and placed in a new location, like toys on a table. Chancellor Vraxis finally raised his crystalline arms, and the chamber fell silent. His colors had stabilized to a deep purple, the shade his species displayed when making difficult decisions. He had ruled the council for 2 centuries, and in all that time he had never felt uncertainty like this. The Dominion's power came from overwhelming force and undeniable authority. But what use was force against a species that could move anything anywhere without visible effort? Tholis, open a communication channel to the human vessel, Praxis said quietly. If they want to talk, then we will talk. But keep all our fleet on high alert. And begin analyzing every piece of data we have on what just happened. The holographic display shifted, and suddenly a face appeared in the center of the chamber. It was the human. The being looked surprisingly ordinary. 2 eyes, 1 mouth, hair covering the top of its head. It wore simple clothing and sat in a chair that seemed designed for comfort rather than command. Behind the human, the interior of the ship was visible. It was small, almost cozy, filled with plants growing in containers and what appeared to be books on shelves. Nothing about it suggested military purpose or advanced technology. Thank you for agreeing to speak with me, the human said. And this time, the council members could see that the voice belonged to a female of the species. She smiled, though several council members did not understand the expression. My name is Dr. Sarah Chun. I am a representative of the human collective, and I have traveled a very long way to meet you. Councillor Breckton leaned forward, his massive form casting shadows across the chamber floor. You moved our ships across hundreds of light years. You violated our space. You refused our commands. And now you smile at us? Explain yourself, human, before we decide that you are a threat that must be eliminated. Sarah's smile faded slightly, but her eyes remained calm. I understand your anger. But please understand that we did not come here to threaten you. We came because we have been watching the Dominion for nearly 50 years, and we believe it is time for us to meet. As for moving your ships, we did not want anyone to be hurt. We could have simply avoided them, but then you would have sent more. This way, we demonstrated our capabilities without harming anyone. Now you know what we can do, and we can talk honestly. Vraxis felt a chill run through his crystalline structure. You have been watching us? For 50 years? How is that possible? We had sensors throughout the galaxy. We would have detected any observation. Not the way we observe, Sarah replied gently. Chancellor Vraxis, the Dominion is impressive. You have built an empire across 300 systems. You maintain order and peace for trillions of beings. That is no small achievement. But your understanding of the universe is limited to what you can see, touch, and measure with conventional technology. Humanity discovered something different. She touched a control on her chair, and new images appeared in the chamber. They showed formulas, diagrams, and concepts that made even the Dominion's greatest scientists struggle to comprehend. 200 years ago, humans were confined to one planet. We had basic space travel, primitive computers, and we were destroying our own world through ignorance and greed. We were facing extinction. Then a mathematician named Dr. James Wheeler made a discovery. He found that consciousness itself could interact with quantum fields in ways we never imagined. Tholis was recording everything, his 6 arms moving rapidly across his controls. Consciousness? You mean thought? How can thought affect physical reality? Sarah nodded. That is exactly what we asked. It took us 50 years to understand Dr. Wheeler's equations. Another 50 to build the first devices that could harness this interaction. We discovered that trained human minds, working with quantum processors, could observe and influence probability fields across any distance instantly. We could see anywhere, move anything, change outcomes, not by breaking the laws of physics, but by working with deeper laws that most species never discover. Counselor Drenna's tentacles writhed in agitation. This is impossible. We have studied quantum mechanics for 10,000 years. There is nothing about consciousness in quantum theory. You are either lying or deluded. With respect, Counselor, you studied quantum mechanics with machines and mathematics, Sarah replied. You never thought to study it with living minds, because your species process information differently than humans do. We have something unique. Our brains evolved to handle complex social relationships, to imagine things that do not exist, to dream and create stories. This same capability, when properly trained and enhanced, allows us to interact with reality at the quantum level. She paused, and her expression became serious. When we first developed this ability, we were terrified of it. Some humans wanted to use it to conquer. Others wanted to hide and never let anyone know we existed. But eventually, we decided to use it to explore. We sent out observers, humans whose consciousness could range across the galaxy while their bodies remained safe on Earth. We watched hundreds of civilizations. We learned about the Dominion, and we saw something that concerned us. Vraxis felt his colors shifting to red, a sign of anger in his species. What could possibly concern you about us? We bring order to chaos. We protect the weak and punish the aggressive. We have created the longest period of peace the galaxy has ever known. Sarah leaned forward in her chair. Chancellor, in the past 1,000 years, how many new species have joined the Dominion voluntarily? How many have been given a real choice? The question hung in the air. Vraxis knew the answer. Every species that encountered the Dominion was given a choice: join or be isolated, cut off from galactic trade and protection. It was not slavery. It was not genocide. But it was not really freedom either. We offer protection and prosperity, Vraxis said defensively. Species that join us benefit greatly. That is true, Sarah agreed. But they also lose something. Their independence. Their right to choose their own path. Their ability to make mistakes and learn from them. The Dominion has created a stable galaxy, but it is a stagnant one. For 8,000 years, nothing has really changed. No new ideas. No real innovation. Just the same systems, the same rules, forever. Counselor Brecton slammed his massive fist on his throne. Stability is not a flaw. It is an achievement. Do you know how much suffering we have prevented? How many wars we have stopped? I do, Sarah said softly, and I respect that. But suffering and conflict, when not taken to extremes, drive growth. They force species to adapt, to think differently, to become more than they were. Humanity almost destroyed itself, but that near-death experience taught us to work together in ways we never had before. It led to the discovery that changed everything for us. If we had been absorbed into a galactic empire at that time, we would never have made that discovery. We would have been just another member species, comfortable, but never reaching our full potential. Vraxis felt something shift inside him. For 8,000 years, the Dominion had believed they were helping the galaxy. But what if they had been limiting it instead? "What do you want from us, Dr. Chun? Why come here at all if you can simply observe from a distance?" Sarah smiled again, and this time there was warmth in it. "Because isolation is not the answer either. Humanity spent its first 200 years in space alone, afraid to reveal our abilities to anyone. But we were becoming stagnant too. We need challenge. We need other perspectives. We need to be part of something larger than ourselves. So we decided it was time to introduce ourselves to the galaxy, starting with the most powerful force in it, you." She stood up from her chair, and despite the vast distance between them, her presence seemed to fill the chamber. "I am here to propose something that has never been done before. An alliance between equals. The Dominion brings order, structure, and the wisdom of 8,000 years. Humanity brings innovation, flexibility, and abilities you do not have. Together, we could create something better than either of us could achieve alone. Not an empire where one rules and others follow, but a true partnership where different strengths combine." The council members looked at each other. This was unprecedented. The Dominion did not form partnerships with equals because they had never encountered equals before. They absorbed lesser species or destroyed threats. But the humans were neither. They were something new, something that did not fit into the categories the Dominion had used for millennia. Counselor Drenna spoke carefully. "And if we refuse this alliance? If we decide that your abilities make you too dangerous to allow free in the galaxy?" Sarah's expression became sad again. "Then we would return to Earth and close ourselves off from the rest of the galaxy. We would not fight you. We would simply make ourselves impossible to find or affect. The Dominion would continue as it has, and humanity would grow alone. Both of us would be diminished by that choice." Vraxis understood the truth in her words. If the humans could move ships across light years and observe anywhere without being detected, they could certainly hide themselves completely. The Dominion could never find them, never force them to comply, and the galaxy would lose the chance to learn from this remarkable species. "You have given us much to consider," Vraxis said finally. "This decision cannot be made quickly. We must consult with our member worlds, study what you have shown us, and debate among ourselves." "I understand," Sarah replied. "I will wait here for as long as necessary. We have waited 200 years for this conversation. We can wait a little longer." The communication ended, and her image faded from the chamber. The council members sat in silence, each processing what they had just learned. The galaxy they thought they knew had suddenly become much larger and much stranger. Tholis broke the silence. "Chancellor, long-range sensors are detecting something. Multiple human vessels are appearing at the edge of Dominion space. Not military ships. They appear to be civilian craft. They are just sitting there, watching." Vraxis felt his colors shift to a soft gold, the shade of wonder in his species. The humans had not come with one ship. They had come with many, showing the Dominion that Dr. Sarah Chun was not alone. Humanity was here, and they were ready to change everything. For the first time in 8,000 years, the Dominion Council faced a choice that truly mattered. They could cling to their old ways, maintaining control but limiting growth. Or they could embrace this new partnership and discover what the galaxy could become when different strengths worked together. As dawn broke over the Dominion homeworld far below, Vraxis knew that regardless of what the Council decided, nothing would ever be the same again. The age of the Dominion's absolute rule was ending. The age of cooperation, challenge, and true growth was beginning. And somewhere in the darkness of space, Dr. Sarachon waited patiently, confident that eventually the right choice would be made. Because that was what humans did. They hoped. They believed. And they never stopped trying to make things better, even when it seemed impossible. The galaxy was waking up. And humanity had fired the shot that changed everything, not with weapons, but with words, wisdom, and the undeniable truth that there was always more to learn, more to discover, and more ways to grow. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in millennia, it was also exciting. Asterisk.